Welcome to our channel. Today we're making Flabatta. Flabatta is a compound word made from flatbread and ciabatta. And this is what the bread looks like. And this is how it's made. It has a high proportion of olive oil and is a very, very nice, soft, yet also very crispy, delicious bread. Let me show you what it looks like on the inside. That's what we're talking about here. For the Flabatta or for Flabatta? For the Flabatta? For the Flabatta. Yeah, Schublattler, come on. Then let's make Spideys. For the Flabatta, for Flabatta. A damn crappy name, right? It's really tough, isn't it? For Flabatta, we need wheat flour, sesame seeds, and in this case, cumin as a topping later, sugar, salt, yeast, water, and olive oil. The olive oil will be kneaded into the finished dough later in 3 small additions. Preparing the dough is really simple. I start by adding the yeast to the water and dissolving it. I'm taking my time right now to make sure everything really dissolves well. It's a very small amount of yeast, which is because the dough will rest for a long time. Then of course the flour goes in and the dry ingredients are mixed into the flour. It's pretty simple as always. I'll set it aside for a bit, and as usual I mix it in a little so there's already a bit of pre-distribution. With a recipe like this, it's always important to add the water to the bowl first, because then everything dissolves much better and it's much easier to knead. But here I need to use the spatula again, because it hasn't completely dissolved yet. There we go, now it's working. Now I add my flour on top. And now I knead the whole thing really well. It needs to be kneaded nicely for 5 or 6 minutes on medium speed. This is a wheat flour, it can handle that really well. Then I work in the oil, and when the oil is in, I add it in 3 small portions and knead it in for another 3 or 4 minutes. Afterwards, I have a very silky, very nice soft dough, and I'll show you what it looks like. The dough has now been in the machine for 11 minutes. The first step was to make the dough. It's done when it comes away from the edge of the bowl. That took about 5 or 6 minutes. And then I needed the rest of the time to work in the oil. And this is what it looks like now. Also, when it's turning in the machine, you'll see the oil is incorporated. Eyeing a current is what we call it. When the dough comes away from the edge, then it's just right. Now I'll take it out. And this is really important at this stage. I need to flour my work surface or table very well because I want to gently move the dough around a bit already. That means I'm giving it a bit of structure. Now the whole thing goes into a box like this for 6 to 8 hours. I've oiled the box, as you can see, that's very important. And I also have a lid for this box. So it needs to be placed in here. It needs to be stretched and folded once, then the lid goes on and the whole thing is left to rest. And it needs to rest in a cool place. Don't put it in a warm room. You can put it in the fridge. That way you can do it overnight. Or you can put it somewhere that's not too warm. It shouldn't be warmer than 10 degrees Celsius. And then you'll see that the dough has risen beautifully. You'll see that in the next section once I'm done here. So now I'm working on my dough. Look how nice and fluffy it is. That's exactly how it should be. I'm giving it a bit of a pre-shape. It doesn't need anything more than that. And now I'm putting it into this box. That's what it looks like. It's actually just a small piece of dough, but it's going to get really big, even though there's only a little yeast in it this time. And that's exactly what the recipe says. Just 7 grams. Put the lid on. Now it's coming out of this room. It's much too warm in here for that. As I said, I'll put it somewhere a bit cooler, and then we'll continue once it's ready. In the meantime, very important, if you want, you can stretch it again. You don't have to, but you can if you like. So lift it up again, stretch and fold it. That's what I call it. That's also how it's written in the recipe. But it's not absolutely necessary. It already has a good overall structure and tension. All right, see you later. Of course, I've already prepared the dough. I did that yesterday evening so that I can show you right after making the dough what the whole thing looks like. And it's been standing for exactly 8.5 hours now in a cool room. After 8.5 hours, the dough looks like this. It has risen beautifully, and that's exactly how it should look. After all, we want a fluffy, beautiful, and delicious tasting bread. And during the long fermentation, it has, of course, developed a wonderful aroma. Now it will be turned out completely. For that, I need a well-floured work surface. Otherwise, it will stick to the table, and I don't want that. And I also need to work with it. So now I'll take it. I've also oiled this pan, this loaf tin. Maybe you can see it. It comes away completely from the plastic container. That takes a little moment. You shouldn't force it either, otherwise you'll ruin everything here. That's not good. By ruin, I mean the fermentation will be lost too much. It gets a bit shocked and it doesn't like that. This is what the box looks like. That means it was well oiled. And now I'll start processing the Flabatta. It's relatively simple. Now I'm going to stretch it out a bit into a rectangular shape, as you can see. Divide it into 3 parts. It's important to flour the dough scraper well. And now just pull the whole thing a bit to the side. And now you can already see how important it is that I have flour on it. That way I can move it. As you can imagine, the whole thing is, of course, very sticky. That's how it should be. And now it's actually pretty simple. Now I take my piece of dough, fold it over like this, and then fold it over like that. Add a bit more flour, and now I shape the whole thing a little. I like to do it over the corners like this. And now I use my hands to give it a bit of structure. And you can see how nicely it holds its shape during proofing. It's still really nice to feel what this dough can do, how much strength it has. This is my first Flabatta dough. And I hope you can see how I placed it on there. And I'll do the same with the others now. 2 on one baking sheet and 1 separately on the other sheet. And here the procedure is exactly the same. Stretch it out a little as well, fold it over once halfway. So into the flour, and I pull it together a little again. This dough can do that too, it goes along with it. Here I already have the corners and I go through once. And here I'd like to do this piece with a floured surface. I haven't floured this one, I'll brush it with olive oil later and then add a bit of za'atar, a bit of cumin on top. This is my very first baking sheet. Now I'm already moving on to the second one. Again here, fold it over, turn it around. Shape it into the form you want. Don't make it too thick, otherwise it'll be a bit chunky. I always say, like this. For me, this is just right. And that's it already. Now I'll let it rest here for an hour as individual pieces. It can easily stay in this warm room. I cover it with a cloth and in an hour it goes into the oven. I preheat it to 270 degrees. This is my oven. For you it might be 10 degrees more or less. You'll have to try it out for yourselves. Then everything goes in with plenty of steam, of course. And then after about 15 to 18 minutes, they're done. Taking a short break again. See you in a bit. The dough pieces have now spent 45 minutes here in the room. The room is warm, so it doesn't need a full hour. I covered them up. Now I'll take them down. As you can see, they've risen nicely again. You can also do the finger test. I can press it in. I'll do it again here. The indentation is easy to see, but it springs back up. That's just right. I'll leave this dough as it is with the flour on it. And I'll lightly brush the other 2 with olive oil now. Just a bit over the top, as you know. It adds a wonderful extra flavor, and the Flabatta turn out so that they rise, have a nice open crumb, but the surface isn't hard like some flatbreads. It's really nice, soft, and fluffy. I can show you that later when they come out of the oven. Now I'll add a little bit of sesame here. Really just a little. It also makes them look very nice and makes them even tastier. A bit of black cumin on top. And just like that, they go into the oven now at 270 degrees with plenty of steam. And everything else, once they come out in a moment, thank you very much. ciabatta have now been in the oven for 18 minutes, the two in the front. I deliberately left the one in the back in longer to see how crispy they can get. And let me tell you, it's amazing. Take a look at this. Perfectly white on the inside, beautiful crust, really nice and crispy. They are super delicious. Another way you can tell that we're really doing all this live is this lovely stain here. We had pumpkin soup for lunch today, and my cameraman just pointed it out to me that my shirt has gained a new addition. These things happen. My stain and I say thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. As always, you'll find the recipe and how everything is made here in the video link below. I wish you lots of fun baking it yourself. Enjoy. They are super delicious. And I'm looking forward to next time on our channel. Thank you.